Welcome to In the Trenches with myself, Tanner Kern, and Max Forde for Week 11, where we break down offensive and defensive line mismatches, DFS defenses, and just talk a little ball as well. Max, you ready for Week 11?
Oh, yeah, man. Can't wait. It's kind of scary how fast it's going. I know we say it a lot, but yeah, well over halfway through the regular season. It's going to be playoffs before we know it. Getting some Thanksgiving football ahead of that, but yeah, it's going fast.
Yeah, it's going very fast. And I think seeing all these other sports starting makes me realize how quick it's actually going. Because I do like basketball. Yeah. I enjoy college basketball, but I was sitting there betting on some college basketball on like Tuesday night with a little Maxx, and I'm like, this is not as fun to watch and to bet on and play DFS, honestly, on compared to the NFL and college football. It's just so much. It's a better experience with football than basketball for me, at least. I'm sure a lot of people differ from that.
Well, yeah. Well, like with football, I know we've had a lot of consecutive days of football because of like the action that they have with football and all that. But yeah, it's still kind of a once a week thing. Like obviously Thursdays, Mondays, all that. But I just feel like it feels like more rides on it when you have that one time a week instead of like 82 games with NBA and NHL both, or college basketball. I think has like 40. So it's I don't know. It just feels like there's more, even though like skin in the game could be equal. It just feels like it matters more.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's already talking about the Celtics winning another championship, obviously, and that's not going to be done till the end of June. And then by that point, we're already in training camp basically for the NFL again. So there's such a long season when you're talking NBA and NHL as well. But looking at football, we got to cherish what we have left. We got a great Thursday night football matchup tonight between the Eagles and the Commanders. Max, real quick, give me a quick pick in this one. Philly is favored by 3.5 points tonight at home.
I think straight up, I probably like Philly, but I might take the Commanders with the points there. I think that this is kind of a measuring stick game for Washington. Philly's kind of been taking the NFC East for a number of years here. Washington's making some noise right now, though, so it's kind of a chance for them to see where they stack up against the division's best. Thursday night game in front of that national audience. So I think it's going to be a really fun one. I do think that Philly still has kind of the horses to get it done. But I do think it's probably going to be a pretty close game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm looking to live bet the Eagles at some point if I can in this one. I don't want to lay 3.5 with them in any way whatsoever. So hopefully Washington takes the ball, goes down and score, and we can get the Eagles for even money, and that would be my pick. Fun little trend here, too, for all the people out there. The Eagles are 5-0, and they're plus 82 points in their point differential since Nick Sirianni shaved his head or buzzed his head. So feeling pretty good.
The opposite of Samson over there.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a great NFC matchup tonight. We got a really good one on Sunday as well. Looking at the 49ers defense versus the Seattle Seahawks offense. Max, is your biggest mismatch of the week for the 49ers. So tell me why you like it.
Yeah, really the Seahawks offensive line has struggled a lot on the right side. They might be getting Abraham Lucas back this week, but even if he comes back, it's not a chance for him to ease into things when you're going up against a front like the 49ers that we've talked about the last few years, where they have Nick Bosa, who's one of the best in the league at doing what he does. They've got guys all along the front that they can rotate. We've talked about their depth very often, and just they've got one of the best defensive fronts in the league. It's not a front that you want to go against. Seattle's been putting Geno under pressure constantly. And yeah, it's just not a good spot. I think if I'm San Francisco, I'm looking to get my pass rushers over that right side of the offensive line in those critical situations, those third and longs, those fourth quarter snaps. So I just think it's a time that, this 49ers defense is going to have their way a little bit. And Fred Warner, too, has made some incredible plays this year. I've got to say, I know he's not a defensive lineman, but he's made two of the best interceptions I've ever seen by a linebacker this year. And having the full week this time, I know they played once already this year. Geno put up some numbers with a lot of attempts, but that was also a Thursday night game. And I always feel like Thursday night games are a little bit of an anomaly sometimes because you get some different outcomes on those short weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And I think San Francisco's starting to find their groove a little bit. You look at the 49ers right now, kind of disrespected in the NFC, so they do have to take off at some point. Seems like they're starting to find themselves a little bit. Christian McCaffrey coming back on offense, and then obviously defensively, you got Nick Bosa, you got Fred Warner, you got Leonard Floyd, you got guys that can just ball all across the board. So I do like this mismatch. I think this game is going to go very well for the 49ers and not so well for the Seattle Seahawks. But if you were looking to play this from a DFS perspective, the price for San Francisco is going to be through the roof. So we're looking for some budget plays right now. Under $3,000, Maxx has 3 of them. And we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns defense going against the New Orleans Saints offense. Max, this one must have hurt to write out as a Saints fan.
Yeah, I mean, doing this on the side and like kind of being in the business of football a little bit, you try to put your loyalties aside, and so I've kind of done that, and it's still tough, but I think it's just going to be a rough go of it for New Orleans against that front, and Cleveland's playing a little bit better on offense, and that's really all they've needed to help out that defense, because when they had number 4 back there on offense, they weren't getting a lot done and putting the defense in bad positions there.
Yeah, you're getting the Cleveland Browns for $2,600 in this spot. Yeah. New Orleans has gotten a little better, I think, since Derek Carr got back, and Alvin Kamara seems to be getting a little more involved too, because there was a period there where he wasn't doing anything. But a lot of people didn't think Cleveland was good anymore. Like when Deshaun Watson's playing quarterback, the defense was suffering. They're giving up big points. Yep. Now they're starting to settle in. So I do like this play a lot. Looking at Derek Carr in this one, you got a guy coming off injury or starting to, who was injured early this season, still coming back playing well. But you have a offense in New Orleans is very inconsistent. So from a defensive line perspective, Max, coming into this game, what would be your mindset?
Just make them see ghosts again. Like when a guy's coming off those injuries, a lot of times they're a little bit more hesitant, and you never want to go in to hurt somebody, but you do want to make sure that he's sure he can play. You want to get to him, be physical, not anything dirty. I'm not advocating for that ever, but you do want to hit him, rough him up a little bit. And so obviously you've got Myles Garrett over there again. We're talking about another defense with a premier pass rusher, and I think against the Saints offensive front, they've invested a little bit more in it over the offseason, but it's still not performing how they'd like it to. I think he can get there. If we're betting props, I feel like I take that sack prop this week. But yeah, you want to. I think you want to get to the quarterback, rough him up a little bit, make sure he has that mental fortitude to want to be out there coming off that injury. Yeah,
you got to make him see ghosts. That's a good way to say it, and you got to get pressure on him. Even a veteran like Carr, I mean, you get pressure on any quarterback, they're not going to do well. And I think that's something that we've seen from Aaron Rodgers this season. Your next budget play, you got the Indianapolis Colts defense going against the New York Jets offense. At the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone would have considered this a budget play. I think we would have thought the Jets would have taken off and been really good. But from an offensive line perspective, they got some guys, Tyron Smith, Elijah Vera Tucker, name a few. A lot of high draft picks on that offensive line. Just nothing has really come together. Aaron Rodgers has a clock in his head, and it's moving a little fast. And their skill players haven't necessarily taken off. So I love this play out of you, Max. But tell me why you really like this Indianapolis Colts defense.
Yeah, I think that they're a good front. I don't think they're an elite front by any means, but you have Grover Stewart in the middle there. He makes a lot of things a lot harder in the run game with that front. You got a lot of young guys on the edges. Latu, they drafted in the first round this year. Kwity Paye, Ade, they drafted, I think this is his second year, so a couple years back in the second round. A lot of athleticism up front. A lot of big guys that can move. I mean, I think Ade was like a 4-5, like 40-yard dash does not matter. I want to get that straight. His quickness and speed does matter, but the 40-yard dash, you're probably never run a 40-yard dash. But I think he put down like a 4.5 at 280 pounds or something like that. Like that's impressive athleticism. They got a lot of athletic guys up front that can create some havoc. And you said it, this Jets offensive line, they've got a lot of names, and not just first-round draft picks, but a lot of all-pros up there too. But it just hasn't gelled this year. And Aaron Rodgers has been under pressure a lot. He's thrown more picks than I've ever seen him throw. I was looking at it a couple weeks ago, and he's already is like the second or third highest amount of interceptions he's thrown in a season. And we're here, and it was like week 8 or 9 back then. So at this point, I didn't get I don't have the stat, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's already up in his the most picks he's thrown in a year by this point, maybe second. I just think it's a good play by that measure too. Get some turnovers, get some sacks. It leads to a good day on fantasy defense for DFS.
Yeah, I think we've always said that the Jets are going to take off and they're going to find themselves at some point, and they just really haven't done that at all this season. looking at Aaron Rodgers' sacks too, might as well look it up while we're here. He has thrown 7 picks, his max in his career. He's had 3 double-digit seasons, 13, 11, and 12. But I mean, he's in really good position to go over one of those and set a record this season with how he's played. And I don't know when the end of his career is coming. I would think it's soon, and I just don't know what's going to help this Jets team because they've got the quarterback, they got the skill players, they got the defense, they have it year after year, and they just haven't seemed to figure it out. So I don't know. I don't know what's coming, Max. If you have any inclination.
Man, I had no idea. Shoot, they even added a guy that he should have had an instant connection with in Devontae Adams. They've obviously had a lot of success together, and that hasn't really seemed to change anything. It just seems like there's a lot of dysfunction going on there in Jersey. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be getting better anytime soon. But they definitely have the talent to do it. They got the talent in the road to do it, but it's just there's something wrong there with the chemistry or the leadership or something. It's just not clicking.
Yeah, totally agree with that. What is starting to click a little bit, New England Patriots find some wins this season. Going against a Rams offense for $2,500. This is one scares me a little bit, Max, because you have guys like Christian Gonzalez that are really good for the New England Patriots, but also Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. They seem to be protecting Matthew Stafford a little bit more. Kyron Williams. There's a lot of talent on this Rams offense, so I'm surprised that this is $2,500.
Yeah, that is a tough offense to go against, and they're getting healthier too. So that is probably those are 2 big reasons why I'm a little bit hesitant on this one out of the 3. But I do think it's one that both the Rams offense and the Patriots defense have kind of had a wide range of outcomes throughout the season. You've seen the Patriots defense look elite at times. We've seen the Rams offense look elite at times, but we've also seen both units look not so great at times. And I think with those ranges of outcomes you have there, I think with the Patriots also coming off a really strong defensive showing against Chicago, hopefully they're looking to build on that, and I think this is one that you can play. But out of the 3, I'd say this is probably my 3rd for the budget plays there for sure.
Yeah, it's a little risky when you're looking at what the Rams can do offensively, but the Patriots have a good defense. I think this one more so comes down to, do the Patriots offense put the Patriots defense in good spots to succeed in this game? I think that's another question you got to ask yourself here before playing this one. But Max, if this is number 3 for you, and you got Cleveland versus New Orleans, you got Indy versus New York, what's the number 1?
You're gonna make me say it, but I think it's Cleveland this week. So I guess Cleveland, Indianapolis, and then this New England one are probably how I'd rank 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I don't hate Indianapolis. Like the Colts front and just their defense as a whole is not great, but you're going against a Jets offense that just hasn't seemed to pick it up. I think either option for $2,600, you're in good shape. Sprinkle and mix them between your lineups, but those are some good plays. I think Patriots for $2,500 for $100 less, not worth playing in my mind, unless you really need that $100 for another position on your lineup.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's definitely I don't think the $100 savings normally gets you a tier up in players that much. I know occasionally it does when you're building those lineups. You really want to get that $100. So edge cases, but I'd agree. Probably most cases it doesn't make sense to try to save that.
Yeah, it's going to go really good or really bad. I think that's how you look at that game, or just be a total wash and be an intermediate performance from both sides. But looking at this slate, Max, what's one thing that you're looking forward to in Week 11?
I know we touched on it already a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. I feel like it's a game where either Philly kind of asserts their dominance in the division a little bit, or Washington makes it a passing of the torch. With they got the young quarterback, they've got the new coach, they've had a lot of success this year, and if they can go out and kind of take over this game, they can kind of force the passing of the torch within the division, and I think that's going to be an interesting one tonight.
I agree. I think the Eagles, we're going to find out how good they actually are. And the Commanders aren't a great defensive team. So that's one area where Philly should be able to win in this one. But, I mean, they've had pretty much 5 cupcakes in the past 5 games outside the Bengals. who made some really bad coaching decisions in that game. The Browns weren't playing well at the time too, so they should have beaten who they played. They got a gauntlet coming up though. Commanders twice. You got the Ravens on there. You got the Steelers. So I would say this is a pretty must-win game for Philadelphia. I'm looking forward to Chiefs versus Bills. We got Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. We always get Patrick Mahomes as an underdog once or twice a season. He always seems to win as an underdog. But I don't know what's going to be the situation here. I think Buffalo could pull it out, but I don't want to go against Mahomes.
Yeah, no, I'd agree there. And I was just kind of laughing here because as you bring up the Chiefs, I'm just thinking about how they won the game last week. Because everything seems to be breaking right for them this year. So it's hard to go against them because, like, you have a team down for a 34-yard field goal or 36-yard field goal, whatever it was. Like, that's a win 99% of the time. And they just collapsed that offensive line on the kick and, got through. I will say that position on the kick team is a tough one. It really sucks. I've been on that. I don't know if you played on that a lot.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hate it because you're not really trying to generate momentum forward, but you're trying not to get knocked back against guys that are trying to generate momentum forward. It's a tough one, but you got to do it, especially when you got a kick to win the game. And yeah, everything's breaking for the Chiefs this year. But against the Bills, we'll see if Josh Allen can knock them off.
Yeah, I mean, kicks don't get blocked often in a season. Yeah. You can probably count on. I can't think there's more than 10 kicks that get blocked in a season.
Especially that cleanly too. And then you put the game situation in there as well. It's just, I don't know. It's the script writers are favoring the Chiefs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, once I saw that, I did bet the Chiefs to go undefeated this season because you have to think like Tom Brady had that script. He went undefeated. We're trying to set Patrick Mahomes up to be better than Brady. So he needs to go undefeated at some point in the regular season, probably end it with a Super Bowl. So I did play that. I don't know how it'll go, but it's crazy to think in that moment, that situation when the Chiefs are still undefeated, that's how they get that win.
Yeah. I mean, it's as good a chance as any team that's been this far along without a loss in a while. So they find ways to win. They can beat you anyway. I feel like they haven't necessarily been lighting it up on offense, but they can beat you on that on offense. Obviously, they still got Mahomes. They kind of started to ramp up Kelsey a little bit. They ramped up DeAndre Hopkins a little bit, but the defense has been keeping them in games as well when they're not scoring. Chris Jones is always unblockable. It's crazy to me. I was texting my dad about it. I don't understand it because everybody knows you got to stop that guy, but he always seems to be in the backfield on the plays that matter. Like he's just unstoppable. He's unblockable right now, and for the last few years. But that team they can beat you a number of ways. And then obviously Andy Reid's one of the best coaches to have ever done it. So having him at the helm doesn't hurt either. Yeah,
I mean, perfect coaching, perfect quarterback play, great defense, really good offense, and just great management of an organization there. And I know they didn't score. I don't think they scored well in the report cards for how they did not score well, but like just from a player development, from a drafting standpoint, from a free agent standpoint, they do everything right. It's been cool to see. We'll see what happens on Sunday. But anyways, guys, that was In the Trenches with myself, Tanner Kern, and Maxx Forde for week 11. We'll be back here next week, same time for week 12. Talk to you soon. Enjoy the games.